All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Sunday, June 1st. Fuck it, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm in studio. I'm
And I
Clayton.
and I'm Pat, not in studio. I'm on location from a secret location. Is it a bunker? It might be a bunker. I might be underground right now, but I am not in studio, but I'm still looking and sounding great. And we've got a huge episode, Clayton. We have some big results. And I mean, I'll say where I am. I'm in La La Land. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in Hollywood if she could.
Yep.
And I am actually not far from the Sony lot, the Sony Columbia Pictures lot. So, Clayton, do you know what I am seeing posters for everywhere?
Karate
Kar-
Kid Legends.
Karate Kid Legends, everywhere. You walk around this part of Hollywood, you would think that this is the biggest movie of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That Karate Kid Legends, every tire shop, every car wash, every dispensary, every just boarded up store on Venice Boulevard in near the Sony studios, giant posters, Jackie Chan, Ralph Macchio. You would think that this is a new Avatar movie is coming out.
I was going to
Um,
ask, so that's who's on the posters, and of course the
yes,
new young gentleman who is the actual star of the movie
yes, that young
is on
gentleman, he's
he's on the
in there in
poster.
like silhouette. You don't really see
Okay.
it. It's Jackie Chan's face is really big. Ralph Macchio's face is really big, and then the young gentleman doing a karate kick in silhouette. That is what is all over this town.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I don't know if it worked. I don't know if it worked because we're about to get into these results, and I don't know if the rest of the country is having Karate Kid Legends fever the way that Culver City in Hollywood seems to have Karate Kid Legends fever. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Let's do a cross country plow.
Wow. Okay, here we go. So from the East Coast, Clayton, could you give us a plow for the box office weekend of Friday, May 29th? No, 30th. 30th.
30th. Number one, Lilo and Stitch made $63 million, down 57%. No theater change. It is at $280.1 million in its second weekend of release. Number two, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning made $27.2 million, also down 57%. It added four theaters. It's at $122.6 million in its second weekend. Number three, a newbie, Karate Kid Legends, made $21 million in its first weekend of release. Number four, Final Destination Bloodlines, made $10.8 million, down 44%. It lost 389 theaters. It's at $111.7 million in its third weekend. Number five, another newbie, Bring Her Back. A24's movie made $7 million in its first weekend. And then let's jump to eight.
Okay, jumping past the last rodeo. You don't want to talk about
No,
this John
no,
Avenant film? Okay.
I don't know what you're looking at, but the last rodeo is not eight. It's nine. It's nine.
Nine. Nine.
Friendship is eight. Made
Mm-hmm.
$2.5 million, down 51%. It added 238 theaters. It's at $12.3 million in its fourth weekend of platform release.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which was smart.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Give us a
This
thing.
move, this movie is, 2.5 in its fourth weekend. It is now at the highest level of theaters it's ever been,
Mm-hmm.
1,293. It isn't in the top 25 of films in the A24 catalog as to like box office. It is going to overtake Death of a Unicorn, which I
Right.
feel like is a movie that was aiming more for a mainstream audience
Mm-hmm.
and definitely had more of a push by A24.
I mean, look at that comp right there. So Paul Rudd, who I guess must have signed a multi-picture deal with A24, which is an odd move for a movie star to make, but he did it. And you have two Paul Rudd two-handers. And the two-hander with Tim Robinson, who was a one-season SNL cast member who has a niche Netflix show, is going to be a bigger draw than the Paul Rudd two-hander with Jenna
Jenna.
Ortega. That is that when you put it like that, and I think someone needs to put it like that to Jenna's
Jenna.
representation, that the Tim Robinson Paul Rudd movie is going to outgross the Jenna Ortega Paul Rudd movie.
Jenna. Now, okay, I do want
Okay.
to say something quickly because Jenna Ortega did an interview recently where she was talking about the success of Wednesday, a
Mm-hmm.
show that she writes, directs,
Yep.
choreographs,
Edits. Yeah.
edits, does everything.
Caters.
Yeah, she's doing the Sean Baker.
Yep, yep. She lugs all the kind bars to Crafty
She
herself every
does.
day.
She does the
Duffel
crafty.
bags full of kind bars.
And she said that, after the success, there's been a lot of expectation. There's also been online bullying, right? Which I would agree with. I do think that anytime somebody becomes successful, they do get a certain level of either pushback or bullying because the internet is a cesspool. We all know this.
Yes, of course.
Now, we are YouTubers. Hey, guys.
Hey guys.
Therefore, YouTube is part of the internet. Therefore, bullying happens on YouTube. I want to say, and I'll say this directly to the camera,
Wow.
we are not trying to bully Jenna Ortega. We simply want what's best for them when it comes to their emerging stardom. Like the opportunity is there to be a huge star. And so what we worry about with Jenna
Jenna.
is making wrong moves.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that she didn't want to be pigeonholed as the dour, snarky goth girl, which two of her biggest successes, Wednesday and Beetlejuice, have had her in that position.
Mm-hmm.
So I could
Mm-hmm.
see her wanting to do different stuff. Now, did you see Death of a Unicorn? Because doesn't she also play sort of a
I,
deadpan?
I did. I saw that film with a certain friend. You were not able to come to that movie, Death of a
Okay.
Unicorn. But I did see that in theaters
Yes.
with someone unnamed. And
Wait, was it Aaron Moran?
it was not Aaron Moran. I did not see that
Okay.
with Joni of Joni Loves Chachi. I did not see with Aaron Moran. But
Oh,
I
I know who you saw. Okay. And I
okay.
refused to see that movie, correct?
Yes, you refused to see that movie. You ended up staying for other movies
Oh, boy.
later in later weeks. But yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that movie in the movie theater. Terrible movie. And you're right. We are not, of course, not here to bully Jenna
Jenna.
Ortega and join the cesspool. Are we here to bully her representation? I
Yes.
think that that's where we're here to bully. And they could be bullied. Representation and bullying representation is so important, as Frances McDormand said on stage at the
Yeah.
Oscars. It's so important. And they are the ones who are responsible for her ending up after Beetlejuice in Death of a Unicorn and So Luck Fast Tomorrow. What is that called?
Yep.
Too
Nailed it.
Sorry Fast Tomorrow.
Yep.
Going, it's
Right.
a happy going so fast tomorrow.
All of them are right. Yes.
Yeah. Hurry up tomorrow. Hurry up
Yes.
tomorrow. That's it. Yes.
No, no.
It was so happy go fast tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one.
Yeah. That was the one.
And so bullying her representation to find better vehicles to follow up on her Beetlejuice success, that is a good use of the cesspool.
That's what I think. I
Yeah.
think their job is to take it. Like that's what their
100%.
job is.
Yeah.
So I
They
feel like
they get 10%, but they get 100% of the bullying from the cesspool. That should be the
absolutely.
deal. Yeah.
And so I just wanted to clarify that because I
Yeah.
didn't want to be, I didn't want to be another reason why Jenna
Jenna.
Ortega feels bad about fame and stardom because we need stars and we want
Yes.
her to want to be a star. We want
Yes.
her to want to be not necessarily like a Timothy Chalamet who's on the courtside with the Knicks and stuff. He seems to really love that. I don't know if she's that same way. We don't need her to be like public facing. We just want her to be in good material where she can shine. And I think
Yes.
that's really where all this comes from.
Yes, yes. But I do think that's telling that that the timber I mean, so $12 million, and it's I mean, this is a movie that could have get to 20. Are we thinking that Friendship at $12 million just made 2.5? So I think it's 15 is going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and 20 domestic is a possibility. And I think at that point we're talking this is a very successful movie for what it is.
When's the next comedy that's even coming out?
I mean, Naked Gun in
August.
early August.
So
Yeah,
that is the next pure comedy.
pure comedy. You know, of course, comedy now has been filtered through every other genre. So is Megan a comedy? You know, when Megan makes $100 million at the end of June, do we count that as a comedic hit?
Megan
Um,
2.0.
Megan 2.0, Superman, of course, directed by James Gunn. Is that a comedy because he's James Gunn? You
He
know,
did
is
Romeo and Juliet, which was a
right,
comedy.
right. So
Probably most
that's
famous for that.
yes. I mean, that is still. I rewatched it about a year ago on YouTube on a VHS rip on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and it holds up.
Yep.
Even we're Guardians fans, but Romeo and Juliet remains James Gunn's best film.
Yes. Agreed.
Of course, he only wrote it, so it's Lloyd Kaufman's best film. But
Yeah.
is Superman a comedy? That's that's what we the decisions we have to make in box office these days. But yeah, I think the next real comedy, just pure comedy, is Naked Gun.
So we'll be following Friendship to see how high it can go
Mm-hmm.
and see if this platforming actually was the way to go or not. Let's jump to 5 because we got to talk
Okay.
about more A24.
Okay.
Bring her back.
Yeah. Yeah.
7 million, and I feel like this is sort of where we thought it would land.
It's
That
on the high end of what the tracking was, but the tracking was weirdly low for this movie.
so I'm upset with A24 for this one
Okay.
because their last movie
Mm-hmm.
opened higher.
The Rocka guys.
The Rocka guys, their last movie, Talk to Me,
Yes.
opened higher with sort of a groundswell of buzz
Mm-hmm.
and they were unknown to the general audience because they had not directed a actual motion picture
Mm-hmm.
that got a release in the way that movie was released. The fact that this movie got what, a B minus cinema score,
This
which
movie, I
is
think, got a B. I mean, this is a really liked horror movie.
which when you talk in cinema scores in horror movies,
Mm-hmm.
people tend to, if they think it's messed up and scary, they'll give it a lower grade, even though they went to see a scary, messed up movie.
Right,
Right?
right,
That's how horror works.
right.
But this is a movie that looks like it was critically liked and liked from the people who went and saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's a B plus cinema score.
B plus, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
for a horror movie. That is a 4-star, 2 thumbs up. That's B plus cinema score for a horror movie is Siskel and Ebert, both thumbs up in the
Yeah.
newspaper.
And even Anthony D. Alessandro was saying it's a bit surprising it didn't over-index more due
Mm-hmm.
to the fact that the first movie opened at 10.4. Right now,
Yep.
was the marketing and the gimmick for Talk to Me maybe stickier than this? Because honestly, I know a little bit about this movie. I don't want to know a lot about it because I do want to see it. I think the idea of the seance with holding the hand, that's very easy to sort of get across. This might
Yes.
have been more of a, well, what is this movie? But you're coming off, you know, and I know this is apples and oranges because there was a bigger star in this movie, but when you go from, when you're looking at the Safdie brothers who did Good Time to Uncut Gems,
Mm-hmm.
there was a leap there.
Right.
There should have been a leap here. Like,
Yes.
I'm not saying this movie should have made $20 million opening, but I do think it should have made the same or more than the last one. And I know that everybody went to see this movie because they saw advertising on the internet. But guess what? You have a movie from guys who gave you a hit basically out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You got to market this better. You don't
Mm-hmm.
just stay on the internet.
Yeah.
You need to spend that money to make this a hit,
Yes.
right? Because I know Bloodlines is out there doing business and killing it. That movie is going to do what it's going to do, and it's been out for a few weeks. The gorehounds and
The flesh heads.
the flesh heads, they need something more, and this is what they need, and they weren't sure when it was going to be served to them.
Yes. Yes. This movie shouldn't have been cannibalized by Final Destination. It should have been buoyed by Final Destination, by all the
Yeah.
people these last 2-3 weeks who came out of that movie salivating at the idea of teenagers being mutilated, wanting more. This movie should have opened. You said it should have only done as much as Talk to Me. This movie should have opened $15 to $20 million with the correct marketing plan for this. This should have been. It's also called Bring Her Back, and their hit was called Talk to Me. Mm-hmm. There's not an easier sell to an audience that the movie you love, Talk to Me. Now the same guys have something called Bring Her Back. You could trick people into thinking it's all the same horror universe. Mm-hmm. You know, they made the perfect follow-up, and we have not seen this film, though I am planning on seeing this soon. Mm-hmm. And A24 blew the easiest layup there is in box office now, which is a teen-targeted horror movie from people who are already making hit horror movies. This should have been the slam doink of the week, and they totally booched it. You know, $7 million was the high end of where the tracking came in. And that's all
never should have been
grassroots.
that low.
Tracking never should have been that low. Tracking never should have been that low. Yeah, this movie should have been tracking 12 to 15, and it should have opened to 20. And this is a complete fucking disgrace on A24's part that Bring Her Back isn't opening to at least $15 million. That it's opening in single digits. And great job out of this movie for getting to $7 million on the non-existent marketing campaign that A24 gave them. You know, the Rocka guys, they did God's work getting it to $7 million. A24 is a disgrace for what it did this weekend to Bring Her Back. It's a disgrace.
Are you cutting the shit right now?
I'm cutting the shit. I'm cutting the shit right from Hollywood. So I'm in their backyard. Yeah. I'm in there. And A24, I don't know if they have a lot, if they have a parking lot. I'm not sure what services they provide their filmmakers.
They probably have like a food truck.
Yeah. They've got
pop-up. They have a pop-up studio is what A24 has. They have a pop-up.
Right. Next week,
that's what they're trying to do.
Next week, it's a sneaker store, and then the week after that, it's A24's studios.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace. This is a complete disgrace that this movie is opening where it is. Talk to Me. Do you know what Talk to Me ended up legging out to in its domestic total?
Was it in the 40s?
$48 million.
Yeah, that's
that
great.
movie made $48 million. And I hope Bring Her Back has great legs. It's got a great cinema score. I'm sure it will be as leggy as it can. But now it has to be leggy from a $7 million opening with no promotion. So it's safe to say there's no shot this movie is going to get to the $48 million that Talk to Me got to. It would be a complete miracle.
Yeah. If I'm the Rocka guys, I'm taking my talents to Neon.
Yep.
Right? Because Neon would cherish them and promote them.
Yep.
I mean, listen, Oz Perkins with the monkey. That movie was shoved down our throat.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
In a way that this movie should have been shoved down our throat.
We wanted it. We wanted Bring Her Back to be shoved down our throats.
Yes.
We wanted to not be able to leave the house without bring her back posters hitting us in the face. I mean, buy
We
one goddamn commercial on the
Yeah,
NBA playoffs. One commercial.
that's
One
the thing.
commercial.
Freak these Indiana Pacer fans out.
Yep.
These corn-fed couch potatoes,
Mm-hmm.
no
Who we love.
stars to be had at the court side. They had to import stars from
Mm-hmm.
New York City, true
Yep.
stars.
Yep.
I mean, listen, I don't want to start a feud, but their guy was McAfee. McAfee's out there doing your keynote speech at
Mm-hmm.
your playoff game,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
talking down to Timothy Chalamet and Ben
Ben
Stiller, who
Stiller.
has made billions of dollars at the
Mm-hmm.
box office.
Spike Lee, one of our greatest
Spike
living
Lee,
directors.
who's just about to drop a movie that I've heard is one of his best
Yeah.
at an age where some people are wringing their hands about retiring and maybe doing a
Mm-hmm.
10th movie and maybe not, who knows.
Right.
He's way past that age. And you've got McAfee, who has, I guess, billions of dollars in from selling, brain powder or
Mm-hmm.
whatever he does on his show,
Mm-hmm.
snake oil.
Yeah.
Um,
And YouTube ad revenue because he is a YouTuber. Hey guys.
hey guys, but anyway, so that should have been freaking out the normies from Indiana, from the where's the Thunder from? They're from
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, another place that they're easily be freaked out. They should be both of those corn-fed couch potato groups
Mm-hmm.
should be freaked out and wanting to see this movie.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that didn't happen.
That didn't
And
happen.
that's despicable. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's a failure. A24 is becoming Lionsgate. I'm saying it. You're Lionsgating yourself. You don't have a seal of quality anymore. You don't know how to promote movies correctly. You're not spending the money, and you're
Mm-hmm.
turning out crap. So good movies get overlooked because no
Mm-hmm.
one trusts you anymore, A24. They don't
Mm-hmm.
trust you. The
Mm-hmm.
same way you don't trust Lionsgate. When you see Lionsgate, you're like, ugh, this is probably going to be terrible.
Right, right. Unless it's a John Wickiverse movie, which we will be testing that theory of Ballerina in a couple of weeks.
And even that, I don't necessarily trust Ballerina. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. I
Wow.
don't trust
Wow.
Ballerina. I do not trust
Wow.
it.
They did pony up and get Keanu Reeves to film a bunch of scenes to make it seem like he's in the movie. Though I do feel like Ballerina will end up being a Bruce Willis Red Box style movie where Keanu Reeves is locked in a closet and they cut to him 7 times throughout the movie to make it seem like he's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, this was a complete failure from A24. I agree. The Rocka Rocka guys have to take their talents elsewhere. Neon seems like the best fit. Why was it that for Talk to Me, they were able to drum up more buzz about, hey, these YouTube pranksters are making a movie now. You got to go see it. More so than they were able to drum up the buzz of, hey, these guys who made a hit movie that made 48 million domestic a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
now they have another movie. How was the YouTube prankster buzz more marketable than the actual from the filmmakers of a movie that you loved in this exact genre that has basically the same title?
I know. They A24 took advantage of what they thought was surefire. Okay, we got these guys. They make great movies. Kids like them. Whatever. We don't need to spend our time. We've got all these other things boiling on the stove, and they're all garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a souffle that needed your attention.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been great if prepared and served correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And they let that souffle fall so that they could get the rest of the gruel out to people.
Right. Death of a Unicorn. I mean,
Death of a Unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Death of a Unicorn, Legend of Ochi, in the sense of Legend of Ochi is not a bad movie. I'm not saying that's a bad movie. I feel like that's a movie that was also not promoted.
Right.
I mean, you had a kids movie that got really good reviews. All I've heard is positive things about that film, and it was just totally dismissed and not promoted in a way. It's now on, I believe it's on VOD already.
Wow. Wow.
You
Yeah,
know?
I mean that's part of what A24's business model is, I guess, is getting as much product out there to then get it to their uh PVOD and get it to their streamer partners, because aren't they
Yeah.
partnered with Hulu? I think A24 movies go to Hulu,
I feel like they're on. Don't
or
quote me,
maybe
but
Max. It might
I
be
think it's
Max.
Prime. I think it's Prime. I see them
Okay.
a lot on Prime, but
Okay.
I don't know who they're.
Amazon Prime, not the Paul Brothers beverage.
No, no, no. They're not exclusive to Prime cans. Although
Okay. Death of a Unicorn, that
put it
might
on
have
the
been
side of a Prime can.
yeah, that might have been the best way to show that movie.
Put the full length movie. Yeah, you can do that. They have the technology to do that now. Just put
Yeah,
a little tiny screen on a limited edition Prime can that's Death of a Unicorn Prime, and make it taste like Funfetti or whatever shit.
right.
And then you can watch the movie on the can.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been the way to distribute that movie. And then hey, then I would have said, okay, they're doing something interesting there. That movie
Yeah.
was worth it because it was the first ever straight to prime can distribution of a movie.
And
Um,
I'm throwing Warfare in with the Gruel because you know how I feel about Alex Garland.
yeah, I mean it did fine.
But
Um,
again, you
again,
had Snivel War, which did Bafa Bobo,
yep, yep,
and they couldn't. And it's about war. Like the other movie was about war, and this is about war, and they somehow could not make that a hit because they were not paying attention enough. And they
yeah.
did shove that movie down, not as enough as we wanted to. Like, here's the thing about us: since we work in this business, we are box office, uh, what would you say, experts? I'm gonna
Experts,
say
yes.
it.
Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah.
When
Won't go as far as saying gods, but experts.
we don't have the same sort of gag reflex as a normal moviegoer would have. We're okay with movies being shoved down our throat because then we know that the studio cares about it, and it's most likely going to make Bafa Bobo. So the more it gets shoved down our throat, the more we're excited.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have
Mm-hmm.
to worry about it because we're used to it. We're used to that. We can
Mm-hmm.
handle it. So we want that for these big budget movies. And I think, going off of A24, let's talk about this Karate Kid movie.
Okay.
I do think that that was a movie that was shoved down our throats.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm here in the epicenter. I am blocks away from the Sony lot, and it's everywhere. And it
Mm-hmm.
was commercials were everywhere. I mean, that was a movie that was all over the NBA playoffs, lots of commercials. And I guess, I mean, listen, could we say it didn't work? It's $21 million of the opening as of now, Sunday. Anthony Diaz for Disney D'Alessandro was saying he thinks it could end up at 20 or even 19 when the Monday actuals come in.
Yeah.
So this is a movie that I think we have to say is a disappointment for the opening weekend, but they tried. They
Yeah.
tried.
That's the thing. Sony tried where
Yeah.
A24 wasn't trying. So, I mean, Anthony Diaz for Dummy,
Oh, wow. Okay.
D'Alessandro, and I'm
Wow.
not saying that because he's a dummy. I'm saying because in his write up for Deadline, which is a must read every
Every
weekend,
Sunday. Yeah.
why wasn't there a big rush to this film?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it under projections? It's the Cobra Kai streaming Netflix effect, dummy.
Oh, wow. So is
With
the
the
dummy the
karate,
reader? Is the
yep.
dummy the reader of his column? Interesting.
He asks a
Interesting.
question, he
Yeah.
posits a question that then we think, oh, that is a good question. And then he says, no, that's not a good question, you dummy. Because there's an easy
Interesting.
answer and you should know this answer. So
Right.
he's being a little chippy. We like when he gets chippy, though.
Oh, yeah.
We like when he gets a little chippy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I disagree with that. I think if this was a great movie, I don't believe the fact that Netflix trained people to stay home to watch Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
If this was a movie that everybody said was great, like truly great,
Mm-hmm.
people would go see it. Because
Mm-hmm.
what did we say about the Pixar movies that, oh, no Pixar movie is going to do good because they're trained to stay home. And then Inside Out 2 came out and smashed all expectations
Mm-hmm.
because that is a franchise that people want and a franchise that people like, and they were willing to go even though they knew it was going to end up on D plus. They
Mm-hmm.
knew it was going to end up on D plus, but they still wanted to be part of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem with Karate Kid Legends is that it had a very hard it had it the toughest because who are who are you trying to market this to? Because are you marketing it to us and people older with Danielson? Are
Right.
you are you going a little bit younger and doing the people who like the Jackie Chan 2010 movie?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going, this is a completely new kid that kicks tons of ace,
Mm-hmm.
and he and his friends are the stars? They had a movie where it was almost impossible to market it because who do you market it to without not serving the audience
Right.
directly, right? If this would have just been like no Danielson, no Jackie Chan, this is a new Karate Kid,
So
what is his name?
a next Karate Kid, you're
Yeah,
saying?
Joshua Jackson is the guy who's teaching this kid boxing, right?
Okay.
then
Okay.
then you
I'm
have
following
a
you.
completely new thing with an IP that is understood.
Are you saying should it have been a MMA movie? It should have
No,
been
no, but
called The Next Karate Kid, but it's Conor McGregor is basically the Mr. Miyagi, and he's teaching some young punk MM mixed martial arts.
I would never tell anybody to have Conor McGregor in your movie
Okay.
because he's an abysmal actor.
Right. Right.
Um,
And you've said
and
that to his face many times.
yeah, and I have the scars to prove it.
Right. But so does
Why do
he.
you think I wear this? Black eyes. Double black eyes
Wow.
that never go away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I spoke truth to power?
Yeah, and that in that
Physical
dynamic,
power.
he's the physical power. He is
Yeah.
power. Yeah, because he's punching you so much. Yeah.
And so anyway,
Yeah.
no,
Don't put him in your movie. Yeah.
I think that was the problem is that they wanted to use Cobra Kai, but they didn't want to use all of Cobra Kai. They wanted to make this an everybody wants to see this movie because there's everything for someone, but it turned into you have to market this directly to who you want to get to go see it, who will
Hmm.
come out the most, and it would have been younger people
Yeah. I mean,
because younger people,
that's what they did with the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith version was
yes.
here is a movie for people who are fans of Jaden Smith. And in 2010, when that came out, young people were fans of Jaden Smith. They
Mm-hmm.
followed him in the pursuit of happiness, cute little kid. He's making his albums. He's going around being kind of a weirdo, but not too much of a weirdo that it got out of
Yet.
hand at that point. Exactly. So he was someone who spoke to then younger people who are now
Yes.
those younger people are now very old now because that is 15 years ago. So these are
Mm-hmm.
old people in box office terms, but they were
Yes.
young then, and that movie was geared towards them. And Jackie Chan at that point was younger and more memorable to the everyday audience. Shanghai Nights and Shanghai Noon were not as far away in the rear view back in 2010
Oh, Pat,
as
Rush
they are
Hour.
now. Rush Hour, exactly. The Rush
That
Hour
that
movies and the Shanghai movies all came out in the 10 years leading up to that movie. So he was very currently famous then. And
mm-hmm.
now Jackie Chan is purely in the United States a deep nostalgia pull.
Well, in the it's a shame with this movie because I don't think it's done well critically, but I do think this is a movie people as critics line up to malign
Yes, of course.
without realizing that maybe younger people would want a movie like this where they are, somebody who is taken from their home to a new place, experiences bullying and experiences, you know, um, that sort of feeling of not belonging, and
Mm-hmm.
then learns to kick ace.
Right. Great
And
story.
that's something that young people aspire to.
Right.
And critics who are mostly middle age or sedentary
Mm-hmm.
don't really care about kicking ace as much,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because they're just firing off tweets
Right.
and being like, I'm doing my job,
Right.
which
Right.
is which is saying that like I'm watching Andor and therefore I'm defying um, power
Right.
because I watch Andor.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
what they do. That's what they tweet. Is
Right. That is
that
what they tweet. I am watching Endor. That is a
I'm
modern
watching
day
Andor
critic.
and that is how I win and how I fight back
Right. 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 So they
against
don't.
fascism. They don't go out there and actually kick ace.
No.
But the
And they
younger
don't want to
people,
see a young man. They don't want to see a young man kick ace. They
no,
don't want that. These critics. But
huh?
uh, I think the bigger problem is that, like you said, this movie was really marketed to no one specific. And honestly, the story of what this movie is was never clear.
Mm-hmm.
The advertisement all just centered around that they're here, that
Yeah,
Jackie Chan is here, that Ralph Macchio is here, and that they're
yeah,
going to meet. And then there's also a kid. And yes, we could glean that this kid, because it's a Karate Kid movie, is experiencing some bullying. People teach him how to kick ace. He kicks ace by the end of the movie, wins a tournament, wins a street fight, something. We could glean that. That was not
yes,
clear in the promotion of this movie. The promotion
yeah.
of this movie was just these people will be there. And the problem is Jackie Chan is way past his expiration date, and people know he
Mm-hmm.
cannot do the things that they used to like to see him do. Ralph Macchio has not been a movie star in 40 years, 35 years. I mean, when was Karate Kid 2? When did Karate Kid 2 was the last time Ralph Macchio was a movie star.
So that was probably 89.
89. So we're talking 36 years
No,
ago.
no, no, 80,
Earlier,
no,
earlier,
earlier, because
earlier.
90 was 3.
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking, listen, we're talking,
87 probably because Glory of Love, the Peter Cetera song, I believe came out 87, 88.
okay. So we're talking 38 years since Ralph Macchio has been a movie star.
Yeah.
You cannot have a film that is all you're telling people is that Ralph Macchio will be in it. That is
Yeah.
not enough. And they needed to figure out a way to make, like they had with Jaden Smith in the 2010 version, they needed to find a kid who was also a star. And Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan could be the add-ons to that, but the kid needed to be the thing that excited the younger audience.
Well, let's say this young gentleman's name because I don't want to be disrespectful because I've heard really good
No,
things about him and
I'm
that
sure he's
he's
great, but
really excellent in this and he kicks ace, which
right.
is very good. Um, although what I'll say while I'm looking up what this young gentleman's name is that the thing with Ralph Macchio, of
Ben
course,
Wang. Ben Wang is
Ben
the
Wang,
young gentleman's name.
we speak
Yes.
your name.
We speak your name,
I
Ben Wang.
like everybody else, Karate Kid, the first two at the very least, love. He was in Outsiders, classic film. He was in My Cousin Vinny as one of the two youths.
Yes, of course. So
He was
92 is the Ralph Macchio's last big screen hit. Of course, we speak your name, Vinny, my cousin Vinny. Of course,
yeah, but
but
if somebody told me that, hey, Ralph Macchio is at Bellucci's Pizza, which is very close to where I live. I don't want to give away too much, but it's close enough that I could walk to it.
wow, okay.
And if someone texts me and said, Ralph Macchio is here,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, bully for him. I wouldn't go to the pizzeria to see Ralph Macchio because I just don't care enough.
Wow. What if
So,
okay, let me ask you though. I get it. If Ralph Macchio was just there at the local
yeah,
pizzeria, you don't get up, put your socks on, put your shoes on, go down there to see him.
put my
What
pants on, put
if
my shirt on,
put your
put
pants,
my
put your
underwear on.
shirt, yeah, underwear, in all in that order?
Yeah.
What if the text then said, and Ralph Macchio is giving away free pizza?
I'm not a big pizza guy, so I also
Wow.
wouldn't care.
Okay. Okay. Last one.
And
You get the
this better be
text.
what I think it
You
is.
get the text. Ralph
Yeah.
Macchio, he's at the pizzeria.
Yeah.
You say, not enough.
Yeah.
Follow up text. He's giving away free pizza. Still no.
Whatever. Still pantsless, underwearless.
He's giving away free pizza that he's making on the sidewalk because he's creating a competitive outdoor pizzeria to your local pizzeria because he hates this fucking guy.
Mm.
And so
So this
that's
is
what
a
he's
real
doing.
life, like when they did in Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a spite store
Yes, he's got a
situation.
spite sidewalk pop-up pizzeria in your neighborhood. It's Ralph Macchio. Is that enough to draw you to put on the pants, the t-shirt, the underwear, Cinema United hat that we both got from Jeff Bach of Exhibitor Relations Co.
Great
Is
man.
it's great, man. I
Thank you so
mean,
much.
be having a Hollywood hang.
Yeah.
You know, the power brokers are getting together this weekend. Um, is that enough? Ralph Macchio, he's outside. He's got like one of those folding tables that are in
Yeah.
like the the lower banquet room of a church. He's got those out, or a school cafeteria out on the sidewalk. He's making pizza on a hot plate to compete with what is it, Palucci's Pizza? Who's your local
Bellucci's.
Palucci's? Is that enough to get you out?
Yeah, I mean, if he's doing it with hate, if he's making pizza with hate in his
Mm-hmm.
heart, I
On
gotta
a
taste
hot
that
plate
pizza.
outside.
I gotta taste that pizza
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because everybody
Okay.
says their food is made with love, and I've tasted enough love. Like I want to taste
Mm.
what hate feels like
Yeah.
pure hate.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were gonna say Billy Zabka came around, and then of course I'm there.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we talked about this with Kirk Minahan on the last episode, which may be his last appearance other than all the pre-recorded episodes. We did pre-record many episodes with Kirk Minahan for the future.
Just in
But
case. I mean, we do
just in
have them.
case.
Yeah, we do have them banked.
We knew this was coming, but Kirk did. We all talked about the Billy Zabka factor, that he was kind of the actual star of
Cobra
the
Kai.
Cobra Kai and the most liked thing on it. And I don't know if he does a cameo in Karate Kid Legends, if he's in a stinger, but either way, as far as people know, he is not in this movie. It's definitely not about him. Looking back now, was that the fatal mistake of this movie? Or would that have not mattered?
I think it matters for me, but it wouldn't matter for the general audience in the sense of like making this feel new and
Mm-hmm.
making this feel great and a must see. Now, here's the
Yeah.
thing: we're talking about this as if it's dead in the water. I don't think that's the case. I think
Oh, I think it
Scott,
is.
the great Scott Mendelson, said he enjoyed this movie, and he's very hard on some of these types of films.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Moran saw this movie
Yep.
and loved it.
She
Uh,
loved it as not as much as she loves Chachi, though.
no,
Yeah,
there's
of
not.
course
I
not.
mean, there's not a show that Joni loves Karate Kid Legends.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think there'd be enough for that to become a show.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't say love it, but really liked it. Thought it was cute. Thought it was
Yep.
good. And for this sort of movie, I feel like that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I've read enough people saying that they really liked it that I am trying to make this part of my schedule in the next week to see this movie.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So I do think the next weekend is going to tell the tale. So I don't want to call it dead yet because also we're influencers, and if we say it's dead, then people are going to say, "Well, it's dead. It stinks. That smell of a loser,"
Mm-hmm.
and will not go and enjoy a movie that I've heard is good. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
movies just need to be just good.
Right. Right. I think it's dead in terms of, and listen, we have to do an episode on it soon with the fellow competitors in our box office summer fantasy league. We have
Yes,
to do
it's
that.
heating up.
It's so we've got to give everyone an update on that. I think that will be an episode of the show soon. But I have this movie, and this movie is dead as far as being a true breakout. Could this make 80 to 100 million? I think that is
Yes,
out the window.
that is out the friggin' window.
And there was a world in which that was possible. and $20 million opening could be as low as 19. Not a big hook for it. I think this movie is not going to be super leggy going forward. And a bunch of stuff is about to come out that's going to be way more high profile. But here's the thing, as we talk about this weekend overall, it was a great weekend for the movies because this is the weekend after Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not traditionally a big weekend. Even
No.
back in the summers that we all remember, the biggest summers, you have a big movie or two open Memorial weekend. And then there usually is that weird one weekend break before then everything big starts coming out in June.
Yeah.
So having a Karate Kid movie that opens at 20 million and then having these top two movies do as well as they did, this was a great weekend for the box office, even if Karate Kid Legends is not going to be some kind of big breakout blockbuster. It didn't need to be for the theaters. All it needed to do was give people some more choices at the theater. If you're a
Absolutely.
movie theater, this weekend was great for you. People, doesn't matter that everyone went to see Lilo and Stitch again and Final Reckoning again. It's all the same money for the movie theaters. They were still packed this weekend.
And put MI Final Reckoning in
Oh,
there
and
too.
I did. Those two did really well. I mean, let's talk Final Reckoning, which did a 56% drop. What was the drop on it
Right
this
now it's
weekend?
57.
57. So, you know, a blockbuster movie that opens as big as it did, 60 is usually the norm.
Yeah.
And you hope for 50%. That's the kind of hold that shows, oh, this movie's going to be extra leggy. And that didn't happen. But I do think this is fine. I do
Mm-hmm.
think this second weekend for Final Reckoning is fine.
Oh, for this movie, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we liked it. We saw it. Everybody knows the situation which I was put in, the terrible, terrible situation I was put in,
You were ambushed by
where I
Chris
was
Clemmer.
ambushed, and
Yeah.
I was shell shocked that I wasn't thinking clearly and couldn't make the right decision, which would have been to leave. I
But you
felt
know
trapped.
what?
I felt
Here's the thing. Here's the thing right
gaslit
now.
into continuing to see this movie. Yeah.
Here's the thing right now. The
Yeah.
great podcast, Jesus Kirk Minahan, who may not appear on our show other than all the pre-taped episodes we've already done with
Good
him.
thing we have those banked.
He is, of course, going to forever be a listener. He's listening to this right now. And
He's saying own this.
He's saying own this. He's on his run right now because he runs every day and had to stop in his tracks. And I'm sure he is screaming,
It.
own
Just
this.
own it, Clayton.
Shut up and own it.
Own it. Yeah.
So I would pull back right there, and I would
giving
say
context, not excuses. All I'm
own
doing
it.
is giving
Again, he's
context,
screaming
not
own it.
exclusives. Context, not exclusives.
He's screaming
excuses.
own it. He's screaming own it.
I do own it. I owned it in front of him, and I continue to own it, and I will own it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is something that I'll carry for the rest of my life. The things they carried. That was a book about the Vietnam War, and listen, I could write a whole book about this.
So
and the Vietnam War is not a strong IP anymore.
Not anymore. No, I don't know if there is a war that is. Well, is World War II?
World War II.
World War II is still the biggest IP. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if it's 1917, where everybody thinks it's World War II,
but it's actually
even
World War
though
I.
it's World War I, because people don't read history books, and no one expressly said, "Hey, we're fighting World War I here."
Right.
Nobody shakes the guy and is like, "Get your shit together. We're fighting World War I." Everybody's like, 1917, that's around World War II. Because for young kids, what's the difference between, what's 30 years in the past? Like the difference between 1917 and 1944 or whatever. It's nothing.
Right. Everything pre the 70s is basically the Middle Ages.
It's prehistory. Yeah. So they don't care. So they're like, yeah, that was World War II. I liked it.
So I'm looking at Mission Impossible. I just want to find the comps right now to Dead Reckoning, and where that was at the same point in time at the box office, because I'm sure Final Reckoning is trending really well ahead of it. So first weekend of Dead Reckoning in 2023, it opened at 54 million. Second weekend was 19 million. So Right now, I mean, the second weekend of Mission Impossible Final Reckoning did 27 million. So this movie is officially much more of a hit and much more well liked than Dead Reckoning was in 2023 and will
But
continue on that trajectory.
but it
But
had a this has a way better environment in which to thrive because it still
yes,
has a ton of the IMAXs, which Tommy did not have last year. Not last year. I'm sorry. That previous summer because of Barbenheimer,
yep, yep.
and
And no Sound of Freedom.
there's no Sound of Freedom. So
Yeah.
this is a great atmosphere for this movie to shine and do what that movie could have done
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
under best case scenario.
Yeah, because yeah, I think it shows that, and we've talked about it, shows that the Mission Impossible IP, it has a ceiling. It is never going to break out bigger than it already has. So you have to have your budgets in order if you want to keep making these. But people still like these at the level they have, like the last few movies.
Yeah.
So if you budget these correctly and we don't, you know, this was made in COVID and strikes and all that balloon the budget. So you could keep making these movies if you can make a profit on them at this box office, because it's never going to go higher than these movies already are at.
No, no. So let's just quickly talk Lilo and Stitch because I
Yep.
do want I do you have something else to say about
No, I want to hear your thoughts on Lilo and Stitch.
Well, so Lilo and Stitch, very good hold for this movie. It sort of, Anthony D is for dummy, you're calling me a dummy, D Alessandro,
Mm-hmm.
talking about how well, people won't go see this Karate Kid movie because it's another just tournament movie where people are fighting and
Mm-hmm.
we've been trained. Lilo and Stitch is available. The original Lilo and Stitch is available at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie that you could just turn on right now and tell your kids and say, that's Lilo and Stitch. That's what they're talking about. This is the
Mm-hmm.
movie. We don't have to
Mm-hmm.
go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yet people went
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to see it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
So that does not hold water. People like this movie. People
Mm-hmm.
want to see this movie. Therefore, the idea that another version of it is available at home or this version is going to come to D plus quickly,
Right,
right?
right. Although Disney has been very good about really going back to old-fashioned windows. They do not drop this
Absolutely.
on D plus. This will not be on D plus anytime soon.
They did such a great job with Inside Out. They did an
Yep.
excellent job with Moana 2, and they're doing an excellent job with this, I'm sure.
Yep.
Now, Elio,
Yeah. That'll be
30-day
on D
window, I'm
plus.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, we're not here to beat up on Elio because
No.
these movies, Inside Out 2, this movie, Lilo and Stitch, make it possible for Elio to be a movie that makes good dinosaur money,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because you
Lilo
have
and
to,
Stitch prop up these other movies that are about middle-aged people going through a marriage crisis,
yeah,
camouflaged as a kids movie.
navel gazing, yeah,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
middle-aged white men.
They're
Uh,
allowed to make that because Lilo and Stitch is a blockbuster with a fuzzy, cute alien that little kids are excited to see him put on sunglasses. And that is
mhm.
what this movie is. And it's great. That is what you make for kids, a cute little alien who makes cute noise, puts on sunglasses. I want to throw this out there in regards to Lilo and Stitch because we actually haven't talked about this person at all on this
Person.
movie. Zach Galifianakis is the comedic live action foil in this movie because you haven't seen this movie, but part of the plot of this movie is Stitch, the little alien, comes down to Earth. They send two other aliens to hunt him down, but when those aliens get to Earth, they then transform into human form. And one of the humans was Billy Magnuson. He's a sort of Disney stock comedic guy. He was in the Aladdin movies as like the
Yeah.
fussy side prince. But then Zach Galifianakis is the other human form of the alien, and he's chasing Stitch around. Do we think he mattered? Because Zach Galifianakis was a movie star at a point.
Absolutely.
The Hangover movies, he was the breakout. It was not Ed Helms.
Nope.
Um,
Nope.
Ed
Nope.
Helms never broke out of the box office. Some people say he's broken out of other things, but not out of the
I
box
was just
office.
gonna say, yeah,
Yeah,
broken out
yeah,
some jockey shorts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
John Hamm
that's
situation.
the rumor. Yeah,
That's the rumor. But that didn't translate to box office. For other Ed Helms vehicles. Zach Galifianakis, and of course Bradley Cooper became a movie star from The Hangover.
yeah,
But Zach Galifianakis with the sunglasses, with the baby Bjorn, with the baby in the elevator, he was a star. I
yeah,
mean, Due Date was a Due Date or Double
yeah.
Date? Due Date.
Due
Him
date.
and Robert Downey Jr. was a people to this day are blown away when they are told what Due Date made at the box office, that it made over $100 million domestic.
Yeah, that was Hangover runoff for sure.
Yes.
That was a hangover.
And Galifianakis, he had the run that sort of ended him as a comedian, and comedies overall just died at the box
I
office.
wonder what the candidate made
Oh, I
because
bet you the candidate. I bet you it made 70 domestic. The Will Ferrell well, also Dinner for Schmucks
Dinner for Schmucks was a big hit.
was a big
Paul
hit.
Rudd. No,
Yeah,
oh
Steve
yeah, Paul
Carell,
Rudd. Steve
Paul
Carell.
Rudd,
Sorry,
Steve. Yeah, yeah.
Steve Carell.
Um, Galifianakis was a movie star. Did he matter to Lilo and Stitch? And does he get a bump from Lilo and Stitch being possibly the biggest movie this summer? Is this going to lead to another Zach Galifianakis comedy vehicle on the big screen?
Well, here's the thing, Pat. Jack Black, who we all now talk about as a star
Yeah.
in certain movies, especially kids' films.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy who had a comedy run
Yeah.
that also petered out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he came back as a kids' movie megastar.
He did. Yes.
And
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis could have that same trajectory
Mm-hmm.
depending on how kids reacted to him. Now, again,
There,
you went
there is
with your
a
you
there
went
is
with
a line of Mr. Show to kids movie star. That's a pipeline there. I mean, Jack Black, he went Mr. Show to kids movie star.
David
David
Cross did the
Cross,
Chipmunks movies.
yep, 3 Chipmunks movies, and it could be because Galifianakis was on that, or I guess he was in that scene. I don't remember if he was ever on the show. That might have been before he was a growing concern, but
Where was he in Mr. Show? Because I was he in the audience? I don't remember him being
maybe
in
not, or
Mr.
maybe
Show.
he played a cop in the one of the sketches, but
I don't
he
believe that he was ever in a Mr. Show sketch.
okay. But that scene, that sort of that type of comedy, alt comedy star, you get to a certain age and you get to a certain proportion, and it really lends itself to then being a cuddly kids star. And that could be where he is now. And that's a great spot if he can leverage it and if he wants to leverage it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. And Jack Black
Wait, was
can't
that
do
movie called The Candidate? No, what was it called? It wasn't called The Candidate. It was called
the candidate is Hugh Jackman playing Gary Hart. The campaign. The
The
campaign. The
Campaign.
campaign is Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell running against each other in an election.
That's
And I
right.
feel like that was on the lower end of the Will Ferrell movie star run, but it was, it was fine. I'm going to bet it did 60 or 70 million in like an August release. That's going to be, I'm not going to look it up. That's going to be my guess at what the campaign did. But yeah, Galifianakis, this is a chance for him if he wants it to refashion himself as a guy who could get Jack Black runoff, because Jack Black can't do every family movie, every video game IP that comes out. He can't do all of them.
I was going to ask you because you
Yeah,
took your nieces, of course, not going to name them. Anonymity is important.
very important.
What was their reaction to Zach Galifianakis? Because I know they probably were all in for Stitch.
All in for Stitch.
Did he resonate at all as funny, goofy guy?
I can't say that he did pop for them in the aftermath.
Okay.
I will follow up and with a more direct survey to them, which will have to be a talking survey since one of the two nieces still cannot read. And she
Yes.
swears to never learn to read. That is her promise. The
Hmm.
5-year-old says she will never learn to read.
Yeah.
Um, so the survey will have to be an in-person interview. I will ask them what they thought of Zach Galifianakis. I know they're both big Chris Farley fans based
Okay.
on old SNL sketches that I've shown them. I'm still dreading the day when I have to break the news to them because they're always surprised that Chris Farley isn't in one of these kids' movies. They always think that he would be great in Minecraft. He would be great in these kids' movies. Um,
Wow. So
so
you're gonna have to do a lot of explaining when you show the nieces.
yeah,
I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry and the two grown-ups movies.
yeah.
And having to explain that and wasn't he supposed to play Shrek too?
He was supposed to play Shrek.
He was
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
do the voice of Shrek. So all these movies you're going to have to explain the death of Chris Farley to them.
The Kevin James oeuvre is going to be really devastating to watch with them because they are
Yeah.
undoubtedly going to say, "Why is he in this? Why isn't it not Chris Farley?" And then I'm going to be in the position where I can't just say, "Oh, because Kevin James is better." They're not. I mean, they're never going to buy that.
I mean, one of them is defiantly anti-intellectual, saying they will never learn to read, but they're not stupid. They'll
Exactly.
know
She's
that
illiterate, but she's not stupid. Yeah,
exactly. She'll
yeah.
be one of the smartest illiterate people you'll ever meet.
Yes, yes. So that's going to be a tough day. Um, but can Zach Galifianakis be one of the successful? Uh, this could have been Chris Farley actors.
Is
I
he
mean, he
really
already
in that? I
is.
mean, you are really calling him on the carpet for his. I don't think he's a Farley-esque guy in the
Okay,
way you think he is.
okay. I think he could. I think he could make it work for those type of parts.
Nobody has said, "Oh, he's big, but he moves like an athlete,"
Right,
like
right,
Belushi
right,
or
right. Well,
Farley
he also just doesn't move that well.
or
That's not
Kevin
his style of
James.
comedy. Yeah,
It's not his style of comedy.
yeah.
86.9 million the campaign made in
Wow. I mean, that's
2012.
That's the thing. Galifianakis was a big draw for a while. Those hangover movies, and he had 3 or 4 non-hangover movies that were just star vehicles for him that
Mhm.
did well. Schmucks, Campaign, and Due Date. Um, so yeah, I'm interested to see if he parlays this into anything or if this is just a way of funding another comedians of comedy tour. Because I'm sure he doesn't need the money,
No.
but this could be his sort of comeback as a family star, as the guy who gets the Jack Black rejected scripts, rejected IPs.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think we've covered it there. I'd love to hear from the listeners, the BO Boys podcast at gmail.com. Uh, do you think this is the beginning of another run for Zach Galifianakis?
Mhm.
Let us know, the BO Boys podcast at gmail.com. Of course, follow us on social media at the BO Boys Pod, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the Substack and subscribe to the YouTube channel because we are YouTubers. Hey, guys.
Hey guys.
And so you got to subscribe there. We're going to have some web exclusives. I think we'll be getting back to that at some point. But of course, every episode in full. And you got to see the studio. Clayton's in the studio now. I'll be back there for the next episode. We'll be back together in the studio. You got to see the studio on the YouTube channel. And of course, thanks to Wannabe VP of Interns Christopher, killing it with the vertical clips. And yeah, Clayton. I mean, that's all I got. I got nothing left.
Pat, I finished.
Wow.
And you said it all.
Right?
Maybe too much, but there's nothing left to be said.
Okay, so I could leave, go back to
Except
Hollywood.
for until next time.
Will smell
Smell
you
you
at
at
the
the
box
box
office.
office.